Good morning, boys. Hope you enjoyed the Easter holiday of 2 days, and I hope you are fine in the quarantine of COVID-19 holiday. I remember we said in the Form 3 we shall cover four topics, and in those four topics, I remember we have already covered two. Establishment of colonialism as the first topic, and the colonial administrative system, which you have covered it through assignments. Now we have reached the topic, as you can see in the slide, colonial economy. In the colonial economy, we shall cover some areas. The coverage is, we shall go through establishment of colonial economy, then we shall cover meaning of colonial economy. We shall go through objectives of colonial economy in the same establishment of colonial economy. Also, we shall cover features of colonial economy, techniques of establishing colonial economy. Those are subtopics which we shall cover in the coverage of establishment of colonial economy. Then in the second subtopic is sectors of colonial economy, from which we shall discuss the various sectors established by colonialists. Among those sectors, we include agriculture, trade, mining, financial institutional industries, transport, and communication. Those are some sectors we shall go through in the second subtopic. Then the third subtopic, in the same subtopic, we shall see the features of those sectors: features of trade, features of mining, features of financial institution, features of industries, transport, and communication. But also we shall see the impacts of various sectors and how they facilitated colonialism in Africa. In the third subtopic, we shall see colonial labor. In the colonial labor, we shall go through the concept of colonial labor, the types of colonial labor. We shall also see the methods used to establish colonial labor or to obtain colonial labor, but also the impact of colonial labor in Africa. Those are the subtopics we shall go through in the colonial economy. Here is the first subtopic, that is establishment of colonial economy. In this establishment of colonial economy, we shall see the concept of colonial economy, in which here we are speaking of the meaning of colonial economy. In the colonial economy, in the concept of colonial economy, here we are speaking of what is colonial economy. In this case, colonial economy was the system of production and consumption introduced by the colonialists in the colonies in order to ensure they accomplish their desires, like market, raw materials, areas to invest, cheap labor, and areas for settlement. Here we mean colonial economy was the system of production and consumption established by the colonialists in order to accomplish their goals, their desires. And among the desires, we include the need of market, need of raw materials, areas for investment, the need of cheap labor, and the need of areas for settlement, from which they wanted to save their surplus population from Europe. This is what we mean when we are speaking of the colonial economy. Then it was established soon after establishment of colonial rule. Here we are speaking of the time when it was established. So it could be established as they finished establishing colonial rule. That's when they established this colonial economy. Then from there, let us go on with the objectives of colonial economy. In the objectives of colonial economy, here we are saying colonial economy was established to fulfill the interest of European countries. Among the interests we have seen, among the interests we have mentioned as we have mentioned, the need of raw materials, the need of market, the need of cheap labor, the need of areas for investment. Those are the needs that they wanted to fulfill as one of the objectives, the major objective of establishing colonial rule. Then the following are the objectives of colonial rule, colonial economy. One is to minimize the cost and maximize the profit. Here we are speaking of them making profit at the expenses of Africans, in which here we mean the Africans were to suffer so as to make profit of the Europeans. That is one, to minimize cost and maximize profit. Secondly is the effective and efficient exploitation of the African resources. Here we are speaking of the effective exploitation of the African resources like minerals, but also land, which was exploited through agriculture. That is second. Then the third is to ensure market for the surplus production. Here, as we have said in the beginning, that the main objective of this colonial economy was to fulfill the economic needs, like the need of market. So here we are speaking of to ensure market for the surplus production. The surplus production, here we are speaking of the goods which were produced in Europe, including sugar, clothes, and so forth. But also another objective is to ensure constant supply of raw materials, both agricultural and minerals. Here it aimed at ensuring availability of raw materials for their industries. Among the among the raw materials we include here is agricultural products, but also minerals. Agricultural products like cotton, then sisal, and also rubber and so forth were needed so as to fulfill their industrial needs. That is objective number 4. Then in number 5, to ensure constant supply of labor in the plantations, mines, and industries. Here we are speaking of the ensuring a supply of labor in the economic activities like plantations, mines, but also the industries. Then to ensure availability of areas for investment. Here we are speaking of to ensure areas where they could invest the surplus capital obtained from their economic activities. So they were investing in agriculture, they were investing in industries, and so forth. That is objective number 6. Number 7 is to ensure availability of capital through tax collection to run administration activities. Here they aimed at ensuring availability of capital by collecting tax in order to enhance the process of administering African continent. That is objective number 7. Those are among the objectives of colonial economy. Then the following are the characteristics of or features of colonial economy. Among the features here we include: one is it was monoculture in nature. Here we mean it involved the cultivation of single crop in a large farm. Monoculture in nature, single crop in a large farm. Then second is it was money oriented. Here we mean they moved from the barter system which the Africans practiced, and now in this kind of economy they went into money economy, from which they could exchange goods with money. That is another characteristic. But also it was export and import oriented. It based on exporting raw materials to European countries, but also importing manufactured goods from European countries to Africa. That is also another objective of colonial economy. But also it was foreign oriented. That means it was controlled by the foreigners. Here we are speaking of the owners of those economic activities like agriculture, mines, transport and communication. Those economic activities were owned by the foreigners, whites. But also it was characterized by land alienation. In this case we mean It involved the grabbing of land from the Africans, and used that land practicing their economic activities. For example, they could grab land from Nandi people and establish the railway line, which was running from Uganda to Mombasa. That is also another objective, but also it was characterized by forced labor. Forced labor here, we mean the Africans were forced to work on the plantations and mines of the Europeans. Then it based on dependence economy. That means the African countries were depending much on the European countries, meaning that whichever product they produced, it was to be bought by the Europeans, but also whichever products they need, they were to be brought by the European countries. That is dependency economy. But also it was perpendicular to the coast. Here we mean all the infrastructures built in the colonial economy were running to the coast, meaning they aimed at transporting